There's been a question bothering me for most of my life. This is the 1998 Game of the Year, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Arguably the greatest Zelda game ever made. The first one to go full 3D, a landmark in gaming history. But it has a huge problem. If you play up to the part where you become adult Link and walk into the blazing inferno of Death Mountain, something terrifying happens. You get a little timer, and in about 10 seconds, you burst into flames and die. Game over, dude. But if you complete a side quest for the Gorons or just straight up buy the Goron Tunic, the red tunic from the shop, boom, suddenly Link is heat-proof and has no problem walking into a volcano now. And that, my friends, is the mystery that has haunted me for 27 years. God, I'm old. What in the actual Hyrule goddesses is Link's red tunic made out of? He can have this glorified hoodie keep him from being incinerated inside of a literal volcano. Well, being a seeker of truth and being married to a doctor in biology, listen folks, make sure you marry someone who's really smart. Makes you smarter. Together, we decided to investigate and get an answer to this question. Now, you may be thinking, there's already a very obvious answer to this question in the form of magic. But let's be honest, that's incredibly lame. And also, Gorons, I haven't seen them use magic at all in the Legend of Zelda series. I have no idea if they have that ability. They just roll around, eat rock steaks, and just vibe. That's kind of it. Although I'm curious how they actually like their rock steaks. Probably well done, which is... oh. So if it's not magic that is causing Link to not incinerate here, then what is it? Let's find out. We had a few theories before diving into the game and do some research. One, the tunic is made of some creature that is naturally fire resistant. Two, it's made out of Goron skin. Yeah, I'm just gonna let that one simmer right there for you. And three, it's magic. Even though that's boring and unsupported by Goron lore, we had to add that as a theory. So we jumped into the game to do some good old-fashioned video game research, which on this channel we've done a lot of so far. And geez, wouldn't you know it, within a few hours, we actually had a possible answer. So let's round up these theories and start with theory number one. If you played the Ocarina of Time, you know these guys right here. These are Dodongos, and they're a pain in the butt to kill. They're tough, armored, basically living tanks with lizard faces. And they breathe fire, which, you know, I have to say, this game has high expectations for an 8-year-old by throwing a fire-breathing battle tank at you in the first few hours of you starting the game. But these nigh indestructible creatures have an unexpected weakness. Bombs. It's bombs. I mean, it's not really unexpected. I mean, if I ate a bomb, you'd get the same results. That these guys experienced. Kaboom. And here's the thing: you encounter Dodongos very early in your playthrough, literally the second dungeon of the game. Hello folks, Editing Goron here. I just wanted to say real quick that I'm talking about killing Dodongos with bombs here in Ocarina of Time. I tried as hard as I could to kill a normal Dodongo with a bomb flower and Dodongo Cavern, just a normal enemy, and I couldn't do it. So I know that that's a trope in the Legend of Zelda games where you have to kill Dodongos and Dodongo snakes with bombs. I don't think I just dreamed that up, but it seems to be in Ocarina of Time, you only kill the King Dodongo with a bomb and not the normal enemies. The normal enemies, you have to circle around them and get him that way, which is still pretty tough to do. But yeah, here's some footage of me trying to kill one of them with a bomb, and I couldn't do it. So anyway, back to the video. But even more than that, the Dodongo is the second boss of the game. In fact, it's not just some normal Dodongo. No, 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 no. It's the king of Dodongos himself. And guess what? To kill him, you shove bombs into his mouth. Classic. You have to use bomb flowers nearby unless you have the bomb bag, which most of you didn't get. Oh, it's me again. You already know what I'm going to say. My stupid dad brain forgot that you literally get the bomb bag in this dungeon. Just thought I would share that shame with all of you. I mean, it's been a while since I played Ocarina of Time, so in doing this video, I obviously did some scripting and recording before playing through this part. So yeah. And you had to grab those bomb flowers, throw them in this guy's mouth to beat this dude. It was a pretty intense battle for an 8-year-old. If this was like the first 3D Zelda, and here we are, we're having to fight a gigantic fire-breathing lizard with bombs that could blow you up. And that's pretty intense. It's not a stretch to think maybe Goron's used the skin of these guys to make leather. In fact, we already know that people in Hyrule use Dodongos for leather. In Ocarina of Time 3D, there's a flavor text for the bomb bag. And that flavor text specifically says it's made out of Dodongo's stomach, which is pretty crazy. I guess when they blow up, that's probably why, when they eat a bomb and they blow up, they don't initially just go. In our research, we found a ton of folks that actually thought that leather is highly flammable, which is a very common misconception, and quite the opposite in real life, actually. Leather actually has natural properties that make it inherently resistant to flames. It primarily is made of collagen and contains other proteins and natural oils that make it incredibly resistant to ignition. In the rare event that leather does catch fire, it tends to just smolder rather than burst into flames. But there is a problem. You see, leather is very stiff. It doesn't drape like Link's tunic. And clearly, Link is wearing a cloth of some kind, not leather. However, we have an answer to this little riddle here, this little enigma. In fact, I have already mentioned what else Gorons might use in this video to make a tunic cloth-like. Let me remind you again, what else grows around Death Mountain? Bomb flowers. These guys literally sit in the same room with fire-resistant Dodongos and seem to be completely fire-resistant to the heat around them. So, that's the bombs, but how does the bombs help Gorons with creating a heat-resistant tunic? Doesn't make much sense, right? Well, that's the thing. The bombs don't. They blow up if you take them. However, notice that the bombs also have flowers or leaves. We know that a lot of natural fibers like wool are retardant because of their natural oils. It's likely the bomb flower leaves have pills that help protect them from their own exploding floweriness. Also, these guys must be heat resistant because I have never seen a plant resist flame that easily. They literally grow near lava. And we think Gorons may have used these fibrous leaves of the bomb flowers to weave cloth. Now, combine that with the Dodongo leather for structure and protection, and boom, you have yourself a red tunic, a Goron tunic. Or, if not Dodongo hide, they could use Gorons. Really don't want to have to go here. Let's talk about the elephant's Goron in the room here. Something else caught my attention when I was really, really young. But it was in the follow-up game to Ocarina of Time, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. There, you can actually don the Goron's mask, which allows Link to transform into a Goron, which is incredibly useful if you want to get around really fast. It was super cool rolling around as a Goron, just let's not speak about that one gunpowder barrel quest. That was a nightmare to unlock the racetrack. But the most notable thing to me when I was young was the fact that as a Goron, you can straight up stand in lava. Like, what? Now, that is incredibly fire resistant. Even Dodongos are not that fire resistant because you can see the King Dodongo die in the lava at the end of the second dungeon in the Ocarina of Time, which makes Gorons literally lava, fire, and heat resistant. So the best material I can think of to make a tunic out to keep myself from combusting in Hyrule would be, well, made out of Gorons. Again, very gross. But maybe there is a ginger of hope here, because funny enough, Link is not lava resistant when he wears the red tunic, as he can still die from lava. We think this makes the Dodongo theory more probable, but we couldn't just make Goron or Dodongo leather and call it a day, right? No, we can't do that. We need a Goron tunic that flows like cloth. And for that, we are turning back to the balm leaves that we've already discussed. So leather and balm flower leaves together could definitely make a tunic that is resistant to fire. However, this sparked another question for us, one that was equally gross to discuss, but needed to be answered nonetheless. How much skin would be needed for a Goron tunic? So, if we were to make a tunic out of leather, well, you need on average 3 yards of material. And mixed with balm flowers, you would need a little over 2 yards of leaves. Of course, this is all dependent on how big you are. If it's me, it's probably going to be like 6 yards of balm flowers and 4 yards of leaves. But, we're going off the average here. Meaning you would need 5 yards of material to make Link's Goron tunic. So how do I put this? Well, unless Gorons shed skin, then I would say they would need a dead Goron to make this happen. But with this and the first theory, there is a big problem. A problem that actually was addressed in a recent Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom. See, this is the heat-resistant armor that you can buy in that game, called the Flamebreaker armor. And it essentially does exactly what the Goron's tunic in Ocarina of Time does. And this armor is upgraded with materials like moblin horns and fangs, fireproof lizards, and the Smotherwing butterfly, which you can find out more about that butterfly and other awesome insects in our upcoming How Many Insects in Zelda Are Actually Real video. But minor spoilers there, the Smotherwing can help make fireproof elixirs for Link if he throws them into a cooking pot. Now, let's compare the Flamebreaker armor to the Goron tunic. Can you spot the issue I mentioned? It's pretty easy to notice. Nothing covers Link's arms, legs, feet, face. And the Goron tunic, he is super exposed to the elements. Now, while wearing the Tears of the Kingdom armor, he's completely enclosed. Now, the Tears of the Kingdom armor, Flamebreaker armor, this is much like the clothes scientists wear in real life to work near volcanoes. You see, scientists, they wear fully aluminized suits that cover them from head to toe. The aluminum reflects heat and gives them resistance to flame and radiant heat. I imagine, though, it's still very hot in those uniforms. They also have to wear helmets and gas masks to protect them from the dangerous gases that the volcanoes give off. Link doesn't have sleeves, let alone a helmet, and he definitely doesn't have a gas tank to help him breathe. And so this little problem led us to our final theory, and the lamest of all of them. It's just dumb magic, which is lame, but does kind of make sense for the game. Although we don't learn anything about magic in Zelda, it is very apparent there is magic in the game. You use magic in Ocarina of Time, even have a magic meter. There is another tunic as well that Link gets, which utilizes magic. It has to. There is no question about it. The Zora tunic, or blue tunic, which allows Link to breathe underwater. And it lets him traverse the water temple, which, look, we've already talked about the powder keg issue in Majora's Mask. Let's not add more trauma by talking about the water temple. Ugh. Still haunts us all to this day. The tunic is definitely magical. He doesn't get a rebreather or anything while he's underwater. He just straight up breathes underwater, and so the Goron Tunic also must be made of magic in this game, allowing the wearer to literally just be heat resistant to his surroundings. But as I mentioned before, not lava resistant. As you can see, you still die from lava. We tested that one out. So, if it is magic, who is casting it to turn red tunics into something that resists heat? Well, that I will have to leave up to all of you. Let us know down in the comments below. My name is Papa Goron. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.
Where have you been searching all along?
Oh yeah. Let's just spoil the next video. Let's just do that. We'll just spoil the next one for us. Yeah, the huge insect video that we have going on. That video is over 2 hours long. I hope you're all happy. Okay? 2 hours of insects. It's a lot of research, but it's gonna be cool. See you guys there.
I am both face and mind, all free for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter. What else should I be? Please don't take off my mask, revealing dark.